students, welcome back to Study Smart channel. Today we are going to continue with part 2 of chapter 2, Cell as a basic unit of life. Let's start. Let's see the topics covered today. First of all, we want to study about unicellular and multicellular organisms, formation of an organism starting from the cell until the organism is being formed, types of animal and plant cell, and lastly the function of animal and plant cell. Well students, first of all we want to look into unicellular versus multicellular organism. What does it mean by unicellular organism? Uni is referring to one. So unicellular is referring to one cell. So this means that unicellular organism is an organism that have only one cell. And multi is referring to many, multicellular referring to many cells. So multicellular organism are the organism that have so many cells in their body. Now we are going to look into unicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms can be divided into three groups such as an organism from animal kingdom, organism that share both the animal and plant characteristic, and lastly organism from plant kingdom. First of all we have animal kingdom. We have amoeba and paramecium. They both under animal kingdom because they can move around. Amoeba has an irregular shape while paramecium resemble a shoe sole. Next, we have Euglena. Euglena have both the characteristic of a plant and an animal. This is because Euglena can make its own food like a plant and also move around like an animal. Some of my students told me that Euglena looks like a rat. Do you think so? Maybe. So lastly, we have Chlamydomonas from plant kingdom. Chlamydomonas can make its own food, so it's under plant kingdom. So, can you think of what Chlamydomonas resemble in our daily life? If yes, please do let us know in the comment. Moving on to multicellular organisms. First, we have Hydra from animal kingdom. Do you know that Hydra has a fantastic regenerative ability? Yes, Hydra is capable of regenerating a complete organism from small tissue fragments or even from dissociated cells. Next, we have Mucor from fungi kingdom. Have you ever noticed there are some white particles on the bread that is left uneaten for some time? Yes, that's what we call as fungal growth. Mucor is indeed one type of the fungi commonly associated with the spoilage of bread and other food items. Now, moving on to the last multicellular organism, we have Spirochea under plant kingdom. What does this Spirochea resemble? Well, for me it looks like a sugar cane. Anyway, Spirochea is classified under plant kingdom because it has several key characteristics that align with plants. First of all, the cell of Spirochea have cell wall which is a main characteristic of a plant cell. And other than that, like plant, Spirochea is contained chloroplast and also it can produce its own food using sunlight, water and carbon dioxide. So, in summary, multicellular organisms can be classified into three kingdoms: animal kingdom, fungi kingdom and plant kingdom. Now we are going to see how an organism is being formed. Just like we use bricks and cement to build a house, even an organism has its own bricks, which is what we call as the cell. This is why we call the cell as the basic unit of living things. So let's see the examples of cells. We have muscle cell, nerve cell, epithelium cell, white blood cell, red blood cell and lastly reproductive cell. We will look into the function of each of the cell in the later part of the video. So, how an organism is being formed? When the same type of cell come together, it forms the tissue. So, for example, when a group of muscle cells combine, it forms the muscle tissue. When few groups of different tissue come together, it forms an organ. For example, the organ stomach is made up of few tissue such as muscle tissue, connective tissue, nervous tissue, blood tissue and epithelium tissue. Lastly, when few organs combine together, it forms a system. So for example, the digestive system is made up of few organs such as the stomach, liver, pancreas, intestine and others. And finally, when all the system combine together, we get a living organism. So this is how a living organism is being formed from the cells. The same process goes to other systems in our body as well. For example, in order to form the blood circulatory system, few tissues need to combine together to form the organ, which is the heart. Heart is made up of muscle tissue, nervous tissue, blood tissue and epithelium tissue. When heart and blood vessels come together, that's when the blood circulatory system can be formed and it become a part of the organism. Alright students, we already learned how cells are being the basic unit for the formation of an organism. Now we're going to understand the function of each type of the animal cell. Recalling back, we have total 6 main type of animal cells, which are the muscle cell, nerve cell, epithelium cell, white blood cell, red blood cell and reproductive cell. Now let's see the function of each type of the cell. First we have the muscle cell. Muscle cell will contract and relax the muscles to enable movement. Second, we have the nerve cell. Nerve cell will carry information in the form of electrical impulses to your brain. This is why if you mistakenly touch a hot kettle, you will immediately withdraw your finger from the kettle in milliseconds. Next, we have the epithelial cell. Epithelial cell will protect the organs in the body. Other than that, we have the white blood cell. White blood cell will fight infection by performing phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is the process of the white blood cell to engulf the bacteria in our body. Next, we have the red blood cell. Red blood cell is the only cell that do not have nucleus. The function of red blood cell is to transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide to body parts and lungs respectively. And last but not least, we have the reproductive cell. Reproductive cell, we have sperm and ovum. The sperm will carry the male genetic information while the ovum will carry the female genetic information. Do not confuse with ovum and ovary. Ovum is the cell, ovary is the organ. Moving on to plant cell. The important plant cell that we need to know is epidermis. Epidermis function to reduce the water loss, allow gases exchange for photosynthesis and also respiration, and allow water and nutrient absorption. The next cell is palisade cell. Palisade cell is the cell that contains a lot of chloroplasts in it. This makes it more effective for photosynthesis process. Next, we have the gut cell. Gut cell function is to control the opening and closing of the stomach. And lastly, we have the stoma, which is the small pore between the gut cell. It will open for photosynthesis but close during hot day in order to prevent water loss. The last plant cell we want to study today is root hair cells. Root hair cells function to increase the surface area in order to absorb more water and nutrients from the soil. Alright students, with this we have came to the end of this video. Let's meet again in the next video to study more about the systems in our body. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.